for managing the prison? Not much, if anything. Probably nothing. Paid absolutely nothing. And sometimes the experience is more valuable than the money that you might get from the experience. I remember my father told me, and it ended up being true. You guys know my testimony. I worked for my father as a teenager. Terrible thing. Because as a teenager, initially, I worked for room and board. And then when I began to be paid, I was paid minimum wage. And I had a lot of friends around me. We're in Detroit, man. And so in the summer, when you're off from school, when you're old enough, you can get a job at the auto plants and make what we thought was $1 million at the time. And he wouldn't let me. And I said, but I'm not making anything here. And he said this to me. He said, if you realized how valuable this experience was that you're getting, you would pay me to work here. And I hated it at the time. Hated it at the time. But do you understand that today, if I was to put this microphone down, I could walk, there's a fastener company right across the street. I could walk in the door and start talking the business to them, and they would understand this guy really knows the business. From the warehouse all the way through the office, every position, every administrative position, every sales function, every packaging, all of the use of the product, all of the product knowledge, quality, all of it, it's still in there. So it still has value. And here's what I'm trying to tell you. And this is the thing a lot of people don't get. Man, I tried to get a cousin. I had a cousin that really loved tailoring. Loved tailoring. But he couldn't find a job with a tailor. Well, tailors typically are small entities. And so the tailor is making enough for himself and maybe somebody helping him. And so I told my cousin, I said, go volunteer. He said, volunteer? I'm not going to make any money. I said, you not today. But you'll learn everything that's going on in there. And at some point, he's going to have to pay you because he can't afford to lose you. Or you will open your own place. Never did do it. Actually, this cousin ended up selling drugs and went to prison. Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Abuse is inevitable. And so Joseph did a lot of things that prepared him for that time when he would be placed second in command over the whole realm of Egypt. Now let me just say one more thing. So I gave you a couple of important items. There's one more that I want to say. My time is up. One more thing that I believe is important as you prepare for your opportunity. A meticulous attention to detail. A meticulous attention to detail. There are so many people that the preparation time is such a painful, what do I want to call? I want to call it grievous, but that's not a word that means anything to you. It is. It's like training for a marathon. Oh man, it hurts. All this running. I'm tired of doing this. I got to do this again and again and again. The same thing. Oh, I'm so tired. And so people begin to cut corners. Man, there has to be something that's so important to you that the details are important. You have to pay attention to the details. And something I noticed about Joseph in that story, when they came to get him out of jail, and they came to get him, it says, in a hurry, Joseph said, hold on a minute. He stopped, he shaved, and changed his clothes. That's paying attention to the details. He knew that his destiny was in his hands right now. And he could have been in a position where he looked so scraggly that Pharaoh immediately just said, you know what? No, that's okay. You go right back to prison. But he took just a moment. I'm sure Pharaoh was impressed that a clean, shaven, freshly dressed man like this came out of the prison. I wouldn't think that's what prisoners look like. And so Pharaoh was easy at first glance to even forget where he came from. And I think sometimes we don't take enough time to make sure that we don't carry the stench from our past into our opportunity. That's so important. Pay attention to the details. Be thorough and be accurate. Man, remember that secretary I told you about? She, sent out all kinds of letters. Sometimes the price was wrong. You quoting the wrong price. Man, there's nothing that'll put you out of business quicker. So now all of a sudden, instead of making money, I'm losing money because you were in such a hurry to get through with this letter, and then to bring it in here, you didn't even take time to read it before you brought it in. Attention to detail. Attention to detail. I was forced to begin to pay attention to detail. We had, because we were suppliers to the automotive companies. So General Motors would send a company in to audit your process, to look at everything you did, and to then report to them what the flaws in your system was. And you could lose all your business like that. So here's what I had to do. First of all, I needed to know what they were going to be looking for. Secondly, I needed to make sure that I understood everything that we did, and then began to tailor what we did to their expectations. I had to pay attention to detail. Because they came in, they didn't just want to look at your process and how you process from the time you got an order in to the time you shipped it out of your door. They didn't want to just look at that process, but they wanted to see, is your warehouse clean? They wanted to look at every detail of your operation. So details are important. Amen. Details are important. And listen to this, especially when you're dealing with God. Especially when you're dealing with God. Details are so very, very important. Amen. Amen. Glory. Let's stand to our feet.